On to this now. The Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa says the Ingonyama Trust cannot be repealed or reviewed without the Zulu King's consent. Contralesa was responding to a call by the Presidential Advisory Panel on Land Reform, which recommended that the Ingonyama Trust Act be repealed or reviewed. Now, King Goodwill Zwelithini is the sole trustee of the trust, which controls about 3 million hectares of land in the province. To talk to us about land reform in South Africa, I'm joined in studio by Contralesa's Habakuk Sefoka. Mr. Sefoka, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Firstly, what is indeed your position on either the review or the repeal of the Ingonyama Trust?
Thanks very much for having me, and good morning to you and to the viewers at home. In actual fact, we, as Contralesa, we are diametrically opposed to the repeal of the Ingonyama Trust.
Why?
We oppose it on the grounds that the panel itself was not representative enough. It was not representative enough on the grounds that nobody represented the institution of traditional leadership.
Were you never invited?
No. Traditional leaders were marginalized. Traditional leaders were marginalized, which means that their views were not heard.
Your defense of the Ingonyama Trust, you will know that this act was basically resolved upon on the eve of the 1994 elections. In fact, it's believed, if history tells us, that this was done very secretly and to the detriment of the millions of people who live on communal land. Why would you support such a piece of legislation?
Yeah, no. In actual fact, the panel or government did not consult with the king to have a thorough discussion on the matter. As far as we are concerned as Contralesa, they should have actually consulted them and tried to find the shortcomings in the trust, in order that, so that at the end of the day, they could be in a position to address those shortcomings. You see, not just to repeal
Mr.
the act without...
Let me put it to you this way. I would argue that the government of the day has been consulting the king on a number of occasions. In fact, never before have I seen the amount of visits that the king has enjoyed from the governing party, even over and above all other kings around the country. The king has been steadfast and in fact has been threatening war, if anything, that if this is repealed, that is basically what it will come down to, a war or even cessation of KwaZulu-Natal as an independent state from South Africa. Is that something that you agree with, that kind of fighting talk from the king?
No, we, as Contralesa, we are opposed to any conflict or war in South Africa. Mm-hmm. But now we are supporting the king because the government started this, talking about this issue on a wrong footing. In actual fact, they should have consulted the king and try to find the problems that they can address within the trust, or those people that are complaining maybe against the trust should have met with the king. The government should have brokered such a meeting so that they meet with the king and then try to address the problems that are there. But not to just to come up and say we are going to repeal the act.
Let me put it this way. Those who are complaining against the trust, they're saying that the people who live on that land that is controlled by this trust, their rights are being oppressed and they are forced to pay rentals to this trust, as poor as they are. Is that indeed what Contralesa believes should happen in a constitutional democracy, that people, poor people of this country, the majority of whom live in rural land, must be opposed by pieces of legislation that were enacted by the apartheid government?
But what we have seen is that the government or the panel consulted only those people who are against the trust. They didn't consult with the proponents of the trust. So they have been completely one-sided.
So the oppressed must just be oppressed?
No, we are not saying the oppressed must just be oppressed. We say there should be thorough consultations. They consulted only a certain section of the population in the area, a section that is completely opposed to the trust. You see, so we want them to consult with everybody, those that are pro the trust and those that are against.
All right. Habakuk Sefako or Sefoka. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. He is a leader of Contralesa.